Good morning. Oh man, look at our Discord. Yay. Jess is in here. How do I put up a profile picture on Discord? Oh, I think I see it. Maybe. No, never mind. Oh, I see their explanation. Okay. Voice notifications. Appearance? Text and images. Haha. Nope. Account. Streamer mode. Okay, so I have the gear. Click the gear, and then it says giant. When you say giant logo thing, I don't see a giant logo thing. Here's what I see. Is this something I have to do on the website? Nope, still do not see. Okay, so it's not just me. I don't get a profile picture if I'm in streamer mode. What kind of bullshit is this? Aha, very clever, Bodegazilla. Maha! I did have to turn off streamer mode. You were exactly correct. Streamer mode is back on. Biddly diddly dow. The editing is progressing rather slowly, but it's progressing. There is not going to be a fight with Sean. This conversation in Discord went all over the place. Oh, man. Okay, I just read Jess's update on Dragon Age 2. That's terrible. But wait, why do I feel like why do I feel like Jess hates Felicia Day? Why do you hate Felicia Day? How can you hate Felicia Day? She's so nice and kind. I don't understand. A lot of talk about Inquisition, which I haven't played. No, don't worry about Egazilla. She's concocted. She's writing a whole novel in chat. I can tell. I can tell we're about to get a wall of text dump in Twitch chat. Oh, okay. But did she do something? I don't understand. Or is it just sort of like the idea of her? No, okay, that's fine. There's people I dislike without any particular like reason for it. Yeah, for me, it's more of like if she's done something problematic or whatever, I want to know about it. Um, and if it's just sort of the sort of thing that she does, then I'm just then I mean that's fine. That's not what. Yeah. Hey, Clooney man. All right, here we go. That's a tough one. Yes, there is Clooney Man. It's like 15 seconds. I don't know about Jane Cobb. I don't know what that is necessarily, but um, like for Bill Cosby, like if he were, I don't know, if he were already, no, maybe, yeah, if he were like, if he had already passed away or whatever, I'd be a lot more whatever about it. But I'm just like, mm. Oh, yeah, right. Um, but okay, so that's a good point, but Egazilla, the messages of parenting and family are quite good on the Cosby Show. But like, there's other shows that also have good messages of parenting and family. You know what I mean? So it's not like that's the only place that you can get that, right? But then again, maybe I'm hypocritical because I still love Ender's Game, the book, even though Orson Scott Card is a monumental douche nozzle. Because his monumental douchery is so divorced from that book, right? Like his opinions of the world and people are so not reflected in that book and the subsequent series. I don't know. That's true. Uh, yeah, that's true. And also in that specific scenario, right? Adam Baldwin and whatnot. Um, he's not the only person on the show, and he's not even the main person on the show. That's why I feel different about the Cosby Show because it's about yeah, there's other characters and there's other actors and whatnot, but it's about him. Like he's the main character, right? Um, and also, from what I understand, like he was a big part of the creation of that show and was a and wrote for the show as well. So that's why it's harder for me to ignore his problematic nature. Um, I don't know. That's a decision everybody has to make on their own, of course. That's fine. Nope. Nope. Yep. Happy Friday! And also, I feel like no, you're right. It's not a one man play. And again, this is up to everybody individually. But like, I feel like I feel like I can tell somebody Ender's Game is great and it's a great book. The author is now a total has become, since he wrote that book, a monumental douchebag and asshole. So you shouldn't like the author or anything like that. But I'll give you my copy of Ender's Game, right? As opposed to, because you can read Ender's Game and not have any and not like, I can read Ender's Game and not have Orson Scott Card enter my mind, but you can't say to somebody, like, I feel like if you are going to especially with your kids, if you're going to have your kids watch the show, you want I feel like you want them to be informed, right? Like my daughter's probably not going to read Ender's Game until she's like 9 or 10, and then I'm going to tell her, you know, the author's not a very good person, but the book has a good message. And I think that will be okay. But I even at 9 or 10, I don't think I could tell her, "Hey, I think that you should, watch this show. By the way, this guy, this main character here, who also wrote the show, he's a monumental douchebag because he's right there all the time. So it's either going to color your opinion of everything that he says, or it's not, and you're going to be like, well, it can't be that bad because he's so nice, you know." I don't know. Good, good, good. No. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm. All right, Kristen. Yeah, okay. Yes. It's so funny. Okay, real talk for a minute. So I continually get comments on both my Facebook, on my Facebook post, on the Medium article that the Facebook post is linked to, and on Tumblr, and everywhere really. The number one thing that people object to is my personal quota that half of my characters are women. That is the thing that receives more objections than anything. None of my ideas in my article receive half as much blind hatred as my personal quota of having 50% of my characters be women. Hey, chest diver. I think I may have ended up with more female characters than men in some of my books, but the way I apply my quota is I do my outline for my book, and then I look at my characters, and I usually find out that I have created about 70 to 80% men, because that's what I default to. That's what we tend to do, right? We just tend to default to what we've already done. But I am trying to remain conscious and mindful of the fact that I am a white dude writing in a genre that is already 100% dominated by white dudes. So I am trying to make myself different from everybody else in my genre by changing that aspect as one tiny little aspect. Yeah. Anyway, as one tiny little aspect of my stories, which also just happens to comply to nature. Nature just works a certain way. Half of people are women. I mean, yeah. Um, on the binary, in the binary sense, and obviously there's people who are neither and whatever, but it's I have people railing at me that if I want to, if I want to, that I should just, if I'm so concerned about representation and feminism and fantasy, then I should write my own books, and I shouldn't try to control the way that other authors write their books, which, by the way, I cannot control how other authors write their own books, so that's totally stupid. And then at the same time, there's the people ranting that, that's stupid and ugh. Right, but see, why is forcing diversity any different than if an author ever came out and said, you know what, when I'm planning out a story, I try to make sure that I have all three acts in three-act structure. Then people are going to be like, what's this fucking arbitrary bullshit about the fucking three acts? Why do you have to have the three acts? Why did Shakespeare insist on doing the three-act structure except for on the plays when he did five-act structure? Why was he actually paying attention to his act structure? Why don't you just let the story flow? It's so fucking... It's because people don't see diversity as a storytelling aspect. I don't know what they see it as, but they don't see diversity and representation as an aspect of storytelling. They see it as some social justice warrior bullshit. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Is like that's the way that I do it. Is I go through afterwards and I look through my book and I'm like, okay, so I've planned all this out and I've got 80% dudes. How about this character? Does their gender play any? Does it play any role in what they're doing? Does it play any? Does the fact that they're a dude have anything to do with their storyline? No, no, it does not. Okay, cool. So let's make them a woman. Just so that we can be realistic. Yeah, exactly. And that's one thing that like people like consistently. I mean, very few people say it in a bad or a negative way, and most people are just like, "Huh, that was interesting." Where they're reading a scene where Lauren is like interacting with a couple of different guards, and then and then I write a sentence where it's like the guard stepped forward and lifted her hood, and they're like, "Oh, I did not think. I thought that guard was a man. I There was no reason to think that guard was a man. Why did I think that guard was a man?" That's interesting. And I like doing that. I like having people go, huh, why did I assume that was a dude? Was it because they were speaking gruffly? Was it because they were a guard? Do I expect all of the guards to be men? Huh, like I'm doing something to the reader, and it's like I'm trying to. Eh. Yeah, I mean it's weird depending, and you can't have perfect diversity or perfect representation in any story, in all stories. Sorry, there's some stories where, like, if you're writing about the front lines of World War II and you're trying to be historically accurate, the front lines of World War II were a sausage fest, like they just kind of were. Saving Private Ryan shouldn't have 50% of women in the story, and that makes total sense. And for the same thing, if you were to write a story set in modern day America, unless it is focused on a Muslim community, it wouldn't make sense to have half your characters be Muslim. Um, and oftentimes, if you're writing a story about, like, there's also like what's the reason for it, right? Like there's lots of oh, what do you call it? Like even if you wrote a story set in modern day America and one of your characters happened to be Middle Eastern, you'd probably never know if they were Muslim because most Muslims don't go walking around saying, "Oh, I'm so totally Muslim" or whatever. But like The Fault in Our Stars is a great example of like, gosh, why do so many characters in that story have cancer? Because it's literally about people with cancer. Like oh my god, okay, Bodega, so we're literally saying the same thing. Yeah, exactly. And and that's actually one thing that I'm sort of struggling with is like is that Nightblade has no like right now it I mean it sort of does, but it's a little too closeted or whatever. It has no like representation of of LGBT of the LGBT community, except that it does because one of the characters is gay, except there's no up until book 4 there's been no romance whatsoever, and now there's one romantic storyline, but it's between a straight character. And so I'm just sort of like I feel like I'm queer baiting, right? Which is like I don't think that that's a good thing to do necessarily. I don't know. It's whatever. But at least anyway, all that matters to me is that somebody tries or somebody is mindful. Even if somebody doesn't necessarily try, but if they're mindful, if it's a conscious decision. I hate when people are saying, "Well, I shouldn't worry like why should I have to worry about that? Why shouldn't I just tell the story that I want to tell? Why should you worry about spelling or grammar? Why should you worry about keeping your pace consistent? Why should you worry about what paying attention to thing like genre tropes and trying to avoid them? Why should you pay attention to cliches and try to avoid using them in your writing unless you're flipping them on your head? Why should you pay attention to literally anything that you're doing? Oh, right. Because you're an author. It's your fucking job to pay attention to what you're writing. That's your only job. That's why you pay attention. A lot of the stuff has sort of been brewing for a while. What time is it? I'll try to remember to highlight it. You can remind me afterwards. 51 minutes. If you want to read a fucking awesome expectation flipper, read Borrowed Lives by Kevin Crouch. It does a gender expectation flip like nothing I've ever seen before in my life. Are you kidding me? It's not available for sale on Amazon right now. Except in 2 used editions for $100 and $300. So never mind. Hold on, it's got to be available on Kindle, right? Currently unavailable. Wow. What happened to that guy's book? Well, I guess you don't get to experience it now. Sorry about that. That's the people who there's people who buy books on Amazon and then they just turn them around, they up the price and they turn around, they put them on sale, hoping what they're hoping is that somebody's going to come upon that page on Amazon and go, "Why is it $100? It must be a collector's item. It must be signed by the author and really valuable or something like that." And they buy it. And like people do that on Amazon. Like you can get I'm pretty sure all right, so this is different, but so it's not that bad. But there's $25 copies of Nightblade in paperback, which I sell for $12, but other people are selling it for $25, hoping that somebody's going to go, oh, this is like a special edition or some shit. Um, and I can't do anything about that. It's not illegal for them to sell it. It is douchey. Yeah, that's why I sort of manipulated circumstance in the Academy journals so that in book one, relatively early on, you find out that Theron is gay. And I like, yes, I constructed a reason for you to find that out. But it's because I was tired of like at least there is a reason for you to find it out, and I just didn't want to keep queer baiting in my stories. I just wanted to be like explicitly like because and I actually got pushback on that. I had one person who was a beta reader up until that book go, "Whoa, I'm not really big on the gays," and I was like, "Okay, bye bye." That's why I'm doing this is because I don't want you people hanging around and being all like, "Oh, I love that this guy doesn't, isn't afraid to stand up to the gay agenda." Like, I don't want those people in my audience. I just don't. Yeah, exactly, right? Like that's the thing. And I'm like, dude, I realized that it wasn't explicit enough for you, but in book one, Lauren's definitely bi. Definitely 100%. Like, and I know I've talked to multiple people and they don't get it. And I'm like, dude, from the first time she meets Auntie, I tried to put it in there. I realized that I probably didn't do a good enough job. Whatever. It is what it is. I don't exactly feel comfortable going back and changing it. But then from the first, also from the first, it's like when people say, "Oh, well, Nightblade is a young adult." I'm like, dude, there's literally an explicit conversation about how Jem has been molested his whole life by Auntie. How is this young adult? I don't understand. And they're like, "Oh, I didn't get that from his conversation." And it's the same thing when people are like, "Oh, I didn't know Damaris was black." How many times do I have to describe her skin color before it fucking sinks in? Mm. 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 Anyway, I should get back to work. Did somebody actually write Marco? Polo! Hey, it's up, WC Studio. Oh, WC, we have a Discord. Oh, Chess Diver. Sorry, I didn't realize you were new to the stream. Because you just dove right into the conversation, like you dive into chess. Ha! Username jokes. They're the best. I am doing final edits on my next book, which is called The Mind Mage's Wrath. And it releases at the end of the month, and we're just getting it ready for final publication. Mm. Kristen, you're like my best hype man ever. That's fine. All right, later, Chess Diver. That's fine. That's fine. Do 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 do. Well, that's interesting. Okay, I'm going to show you guys something. This is one reason why Karen is a fucking awesome editor. So I use a phrase in the Underrealm books that somebody will be put to the question, as opposed to putting the question to somebody, and it's a specific Underrealm idiom, meaning that they will be tortured for information or for a confession. The High King's justice, as embodied by the mystics and the constables both, um, is very like Spanish Inquisition-y. Maybe not quite as terrible as the Spanish Inquisition, but not great either. Um, and so Karen said, this feels backwards. You put the question to somebody, you don't put somebody to the question. But then she looked it up and she sent me the link. And she's like, however, note this gigantic spike of the phrase put to the question in the late 1600s. Um, so that's just one way where she's like, I think it should be this way, but there is something to back up you saying it the other way. So yeah, which I think is cool of her. And interestingly, that spike is right in the middle of the time of the Spanish Inquisition. Oh, wow, now that's interesting. Does anybody know where the phrase put to the question comes from? I'm going to I'm going to guess no, and I'm just going to go right along with the explanation. It comes from water torture. Uh, the courts of France in the Middle Ages from the 17th and 18th centuries used to use the phrase being put to the question, with a question being 8 pints or 3.6 liters of water being forced into the stomach, and the extraordinary question consisting of 16 pints or 7.3 liters um, as a form of torture. Wow. Nah. Nope. Yep. Hmm. Hmm. Quick bio break. Be right back. Hey Magnus, let's not all get snarky in the in the emotes and the breaks and the whatnot. Ugh. Hey Magnus, we have a Discord server. Yeah, the only voice chat that I'm aware of that has occurred has been between me and Alex, where I just tested my settings with Alex. Although I think I still have push to talk on. Nope. Yeah, I mean, my next book was not fully planned before I finished this one, but that would honestly be my ideal. That would be my ideal scene. Once I get this book done and published and ready in the publishing queue, then I'm going to finish the first draft on my next book as soon as I possibly can so I can get it to Sean. But then I'm going to be outlining my next two books, and I'm going to fully outline both those books together because they follow each other in sequence. And it's the same sort of deal where it's a trilogy. So I'm going to be outlining book 2 and 3 together, so that they tie in as well as possible. But yeah. Nothing wrong with that. I think that I think that extensive outlining means less editing. It's the whole measure twice, cut once thing. Stupid paper. Yeah, I think that indie authors are really pioneering the concept of, see, we're doing with books what Netflix is doing with, well, and other networks as well, but like really hardcore Netflix is create everything at once, because then everything can really be tied together. It's the it like when traditional networks plan a season of a TV show, they're always on the consideration, and I guess Netflix has to do this to a degree, but they're always considering, okay, like this might not last. This might be the last season ever. Um, Unless they know, if they know that they get another season, then they plan what do you call it? Then they plan a cliffhanger finale so that people definitely tune back in for next season and whatnot. But my favorite TV show, in many ways, not necessarily for production value, but for storytelling and character work and all that sort of stuff, is Babylon 5. Babylon 5 was written as a 5 season TV show from the very, very beginning. Um, and so, yeah, sorry. Sorry, one sec. 3 1/4, 4 and 3 5, 8 1/4, minus 3 quarters, 13, 16. Fuck, where am I? Why does Word not recognize the word spasmed? Oh, people are too hard on Lost. I thought it was a good ending. I liked Lost a lot. Well, I don't know what your opinion is on Lost, and I don't know what, but like, um, the most common thing that I hear about the two most common things that I hear about Lost as far as complaints for the last season is they were dead the whole time, which is just factually inaccurate. They just were not. That is simply not the case. The island is not purgatory. It isn't. That is wrong. That is factually wrong. And then there's the more subjective. Um, oh well, like there's a lot of unanswered questions. I'll admit some questions could have been answered better or more clearly, but like what was the light is not a question that I need answered, and who is Jacob and what is the black smoke was answered totally fine to my satisfaction. That I was 100% satisfied with the Jacob and the black smoke story resolution. I thought that was great and wonderful. It was awesome. If you don't if you disagree, then that's fine. But more commonly, I hear, "Oh, dead the whole time, purgatory." I'm like, incorrect, just wrong, just demonstrably incorrect. Hey, what's up, Daddy 500? Greetings, traveler. I mean, there's no denying that what was it, season 4, the season of the writer's strike, was a fu- Oh my god, Bodegazilla! Oh! Woo! Woo! Oh, ooh, oh, okay. That was a good one there. That was good, Bodegasilla. Well done. Well done indeed. Oh, oh boy. Oh. Oh man, talk about a callback. Oh, and that, ladies and gentlemen, and anything else, is a perfect example of comedy. Comedic timing, callbacks, the whole everything that is good and right about comedy encapsulated in one perfect moment. Oh boy. Ooh. I almost fell off my chair. Oh. What were we talking about right before that? Okay, so oh my god, season 4? Or maybe it was season 5. I think it was season 4, though, was the season of the writer's strike. And that was a train wreck. It was the season with Nikki and Paolo, and that stupid abortion of an episode. Um, that was terrible. Um, but but I thought I think season 5 and definitely season 6 were really, really strong. And the character work was just some of the best character work that I've ever seen on television. And it wasn't, there were definitely parts that were dark and grim and gritty, but it wasn't grim dark. It wasn't your typical, oh my God, I'm still weak from that. It wasn't your typical grim dark from, but they explained why they were back in the real world. Like that was the thing, was they just start, I liked that because it was like, all right, now here's a new flashback, and it's a flashback, and they're in the real world, and you're like, okay, this is a flashback from before the island, and then you suddenly realize it's not a flashback, it's a flash forward, and they're going to get off the island, and then that season progresses, and at the end of the season, you've got Jack going, we have to go back to the island, and you're like, what? Like I love that. It was an expectation breaker for me, at least. And they could have compressed that story. I've heard people say they could have compressed that storyline into like one episode, and I'm like, but that wouldn't do that wouldn't do that wouldn't do it justice. Like that was a storyline that was worth telling. They told the story backwards for an entire season, and I was just like, fuck yeah. I think that was season 5, maybe, because that was a flash forward, right? But then season 6 was a flash sideways, and the flash sideways storyline, ooh, here we go, fucked me up. That, oh man, that was, oh man, the amount of emotions that I had in season 6. I still can't watch any of the entire last half of season 6 without just crying like a baby. Just, ooh, man. But it wasn't a lie. It was a plot twist or something like that. Like it was a red herring. And there's nothing wrong with a red herring if it's well done, and well done is subjective. So, I mean, yeah. I have not seen that. Well, a flash sideways is different in different circumstances, but in Lost, in Lost they constantly had these flashbacks, right? So first season started and you saw them on the island, and then they would flash back to their life before they arrived on the island. And then in season 5, the flashbacks changed into flash forwards, where it would flash forward to their life after they escaped the island. But at first you thought you were still seeing flashbacks, and you were like, wait, what? And then all of a sudden you realize it was a flash forward after they escaped the island. And then on season 6, I won't spoil the ending, but it starts flashing to like an alternate dimension, which fucks with your head a lot. Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen. That's right, Deckard Cain is in our book. Yeah, that's his actual those are his actual first words in the book. Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen. And I know that there's going to be some Diablo people who are going to be like, why did I hear that in his voice? That is what we call the inside joke for my people. Oh, Diablo, back in the day. Did something bad happen to Deckard? I didn't keep up with the thingy. I'm never going to play Diablo 3, so why don't you can just go ahead and tell me if you don't if you like, if you don't mind, because I would love to hear it. I like Deckard, and he's in one of my books now, so I feel like I ought to know. Who killed him? Was it somebody ridiculous like Tyrael? Magda. See, now this is the sort of thing. So this is just for anybody who's vaguely curious. I was texting with Sean. Is why I was so intent on my phone before. And this is what we need to sort. This is what we need to sort out, and what we will sort out. We're going to try and talk about it over the weekend, and I'll talk about it more on VlogaNovel because it's not that it's not by any stretch of the imagination that all the edits are bad, right? Like there's a lot of edits that I completely agree with and that make the book better. So it's not like I just all of a sudden like don't want Sean to edit the book at all. Because like here he just has deleted an entire paragraph. And I look at that paragraph and I'm like, yeah, no, that's absolutely not necessary. And a lot of the edits are like that. That's why I accept so many of them. But it's just the amount of time spent and the ratio that we need to work on. Blizzard put a stupid, vacant headed female character in their video game? That's very unlike Blizzard. Well, UPS is here. I don't think I'm expecting anything. Oh no! Do tell, Kristen. Although I heard she has a third nipple. uh, Lord Almighty. By the way, did anybody notice that when Bodega Zilla literally killed me with the third nipple comment that Daddy 500, I believe, fled the room in terror? If you're still here, Daddy 500, uh, sorry. It's just from your silence since your arrival, I was guessing that you left the room with the chat room with the crazy streamer who went absolutely berserk from a stupid little joke. Rip Daddy 500. All right, Kristen. Oh shit, I have to go. Oh damn, I'm supposed to have lunch with somebody today. Oh, how close? Oh, we're not even close to the end of the chapter. Not that close, anyway. All right, I gotta go. I'm gonna try and get back on and stream later today. Hope to see you then. If I do make it back, haha. We know how that can go. But happy Friday! I hope that you have a good weekend. If you do weekends, if weekends mean anything to you, they don't mean much to me these days. And I'll see you, no doubt, sometime over the weekend. Okay. Bye!